And soybean meal is one of these meals that we're talking about dried and ground soybeans when we look at this. Now, the problem with dry ground soybeans is we don't really know what the protein content of that is. And a lot of times the soybean will contribute quite a bit of protein to a diet.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of flavor with soybean, so you can make a diet that tastes pretty good for a dog and they'll eat it really well, but it'll be full of soybean. This one had corn, so there's not a whole lot of confusion that animal products are probably not the number one meat supply or protein supply. What was the next ingredient?
Beef and bone meal.
Okay, so beef and bone meal. What does that mean? Since we kind of talked about it, what do you think that means? Because it's a little different than chicken.
Yeah, so that's true. And it's kind of funny that it's beef and bone meal, because if we just had beef, I would assume that then that meant the bone as well.
Yeah, and I think that it's just extraneous labeling on there to say beef and bone meal, unless they're just wanting to clarify that beef has bone in it. So,
yeah, I guess that could be what it is, but just...
But the majority of the protein is coming likely in this situation from the soybean and then secondarily from the beef.
Yeah, maybe it's giving it a little flavor.
And that also is allowing them to say spring vegetable.
Yeah.
So it's not quite the spring vegetable we thought it was.
Yeah.
Let's talk about digestibility. And what we find is that vegetable proteins are not as digestible or readily available to dogs as animal proteins are. And I think this is where we're going to see a lot of research and a lot of changes happen in regulation of pet foods, and just as the science develops, that we can see, well, what are these animals that have been eating primarily non-grain sources of carbohydrate like peas, but really they're getting a lot of protein from there. What is the protein actually contributing to other conditions? Because they're not digesting as much protein from animal. They're digesting animal protein and a tremendous amount of plant protein. So I think we'll see over time. Soy is actually a pretty digestible protein for animals, but it's not going to be as digestible or as good for dogs or cats as animal-based protein. I think that's the thing I want people to understand about foods and reading food labels, is that you have to look at it and know some background with it, because things they're not what you think they are. And it doesn't mean they're bad, it just means know what you're looking at, know what you're getting, because I don't like the confusing marketing that happens. And it doesn't mean it's a bad food, it just means be aware that you may not be getting exactly
what you think.
what you think
you're getting.
Which I think is interesting.